So today, I still want to actually talk about just an overview of the compound interest thing, because actually it is so interesting and people just kept inboxing me personally to just elaborate more about a little bit of compound interest. So with compound interest, it's going to be very short overview. Like I told you, let me say in Uganda, if you're earning, let me say something like 4 million, 3.5 at your job, and you decide the first 3.5 is just going to enter the system. You see, there is something called the initial investment, the money you start with first. So if you set 3.5 million, which is $1,000, then maybe monthly contribution. If you say I'm going to actually live frugally and I'll contribute $500 maybe to my portfolio. So let us say we contribute $500. $500 here we're going to see it as 500. It's going to be literally 1.8. I say I'm going to be putting 1.8 in my system. Yeah. So if I put 1.8 in my system for every single year, then I do that for, let me say, how many years? Let us make 10 years. After 10 years, at an interest rate of 10% per annum every year, they give 10% on top of what I have. Let's calculate what it will bring. Yeah, it will bring $90,000 at the end of, this is just 10 years. This is a 10-year period. So in 10 years, I've actually put $60,000. It has given me $90,000. $60,000 is how much? Let us see how much $60,000 is. $60,000 is how much you put. $60,000 you put 220 million, but it's going to give you $90,000 in 10 years. $90,000, you put 200 something, it's giving you 300 something. But this is an interesting part of this whole journey. So if I just keep up the habit for a long enough time, okay? If I keep up the habit for a long enough time, so this is just 10 years, length of 10 years. What if I keep it up for 20 years? In 20 years, I calculate to give me $350,000. $350,000. So now this is the interesting part. Are you seeing this graph in blue? It is actually how much you've been contributing. Your monthly contributions have grown up to this point, but this is how the system's contribution has grown. This is what the system is rewarding you. You've actually put in $120,000. It has given you $350,000. I think you can do the math. So this is the interesting part. If you do it for a long enough time, let me say, remember at first you started, maybe I'm 25, I get my first job at 25, I do my first 10 years, so I'm 35. At 35 is when I'm getting the first initial amount. At maybe now, I want to see how much would I get at 40. If I was 40, so I just add 20 years. Maybe I'm 45, I've added 20 years. Maybe you want to see, what if I'm 55? How much can it give me when I'm 55? Okay, of course, if I'm 25, add 30 to get the 55. So what if I add 30 years and I see how much would I be having when I'm 55? You'll be having $1 million in your account. But don't forget, this is actually how much you put in. You put in only 180,000 US dollars. It has given you $1 million. That is when you're 55 years old, you are worth $1 million. Maybe, and yeah. So what if you're 60? Remember, people retire at 60, right? What if I add just 5 years to see if I'm 60? How much would it give me? If I'm 60, it will actually give me 1.6. So you realize that now I've only added 5 years, but it has added me 600,000 US dollars. What if I'm maybe 70? Isn't it? Yeah. I'm going to add here 40. 40 years. I'm going to keep this habit for 40 years. And I calculate to give me $2.7 million. Okay, and remember, the more you go, the more the graph just inclines upwards. But don't forget, it has given you how many? $2.7 million, but you've not even contributed $500,000 into this system. You've not. You've only contributed 240. You've contributed $250,000. It has given you $2.7 million. Okay. The interesting bit of this whole thing is that, let me say, when you add 50, the more you go, the more it gives you 50 years. 50 years, you'll be having $7 million. So what does this actually mean? If you take it lightly, you realize that what is the price? Let me say, the whole reason as to why you should do the whole of this calculation is so that you know what do you actually want to invest for. You get, why are you investing in the first place? So some people say, I want to invest to get maybe a good house. I've grown up when I've not had that stable childhood where I've seen people coming from good homes. So this is just let me say a villa. You got a random villa and it's at a price of 300 million Uganda shillings. What is 300 million Uganda shillings? 300 million Uganda shillings, let's just tabulate it here, is how much? Let's get 300 million Uganda shillings. If your goal is to have 300 million Uganda shillings, yeah, this is 300 million Uganda shillings. It is only 8, isn't it? Is it 80,000? Yes, $80,000. So it only means if my target is to get that house, I'll only need to keep this habit for, let me say, let's first see, for the first 10 years. If that is my target, I've actually already hit the target in 10 years. Have I?
Yeah.
I have. In 10 years, I've hit the target already.
With the change.
Just in 10 years, if I'm 25 now and I say 10 years, I'll be keeping this habit just so that I live in a better home than I've ever lived in. 35 years, this is the kind of house you'll be living in. It's here. You get, you'll be living in a villa, an estate. You get? This is in the Mirembe Villas, I think. So, what if your target is bigger than just a normal house? I want to have a house and a dope car. You get? Let us see. Maybe you say, I'm going to keep this whole thing. At 45 is when I want to be in my own home. So, that's when you say, length of time is when I want to go for 20 years. I want to get a good house and a very good car and everything so nice. $350,000. What can this get you? It can get you a house. It can get you that nice car you want. It can get you everything, and that is when you're 45 years old. Okay. So this is just with saving. Trust me. The more your salary increases, you don't care. You just put like a $500 just in your account. However much they give you 15 million per month, you just simply put this small money in you, and this is just the effect it will have. To realize the primary goal is, why am I saving in the first place? So you may have very, very big goals, because are you seeing just this saving? You can afford to get a Rolls Royce. How much is a Rolls Royce? It's $400,000. Let me say, if you're saving because you want to show you maybe the people who say you never drive a good car, you just add 5 years here. 55 years, you'll be driving a Rolls Royce. You'll be having 600. You'll drive a Rolls Royce, buy a house, and everything will be sorted. That is at your age of 55 years just. You get? You're literally financially very fine. And you're living a dream, okay? So it is all about, why are you saving? This is just to show you everything is really possible. And then, some people have extravagant dreams. You see, we are looking at houses, we are looking at cars and everything, but then there is a person somewhere who wants to buy a private jet. Now, this kind of person cannot do the same thing. You get, let me say, if you're buying a private jet, you may just buy it when you never buy it if you're doing what normal people do. So let me show you about, so here it will just be about your income. To set your goal, you have to first know, why do I want to do this? So you have to set a definite goal. You have to say, by 55 I want this, by this time I want this, by this time I want this, okay? Then you save just according to that. So if you realize that just these levels of income, you get many people in Uganda actually at the implementation level. Implementation level is a person who wakes up every day to actually complete a task assigned to them by a person just above them. Maybe if you're a doctor, if you're maybe by there are high level implementers and low level implementers, okay? A builder Muzimbi is a low level implementer. Reason, at the end of the day, the maximum they give them is normally 30,000 shillings, okay, in a day. And in a month, it's not significant, it's not a lot of money. And the doctor, of course, for him in a month, minimum salary of a doctor can be a doctor can earn like a 5 million Uganda shillings, a decent one. Those are high level implementers you get. However, low he may be in rank, you'll let's earn that 5 million, okay? So that is at the implementation level, the high level and low level implementers. But you should know one thing, there is a next level, which is unification. Unification is where we find like these people who control others. A unifier is a person who has a group under him. Let me say I am in a hospital. In a hospital you find doctors. Doctors are implementers. You find the manager of the hospital. You realize a doctor is qualified, but you find a manager is not really, he cannot treat a patient, but he controls the doctors. Meaning, by all means, he's always going to earn more than the doctor. Those are the people at the unification level. Now, these unification people, like financially, a doctor, if you're looking, let me say, in that sector, remember, even the boat you're in determines how much you get. Because if you go into medicine and health, of course, you're going to be a high level of a unifier, you'll be a high level unifier. Implementer, you'll be a high level implementer you get. Because implementer, you're a doctor, so a high level implementer. Unifier, when you're unifying doctors, trust me, you're earning a lot of money. Unification is where you find CEOs of big companies, Google. Those are unifiers. Realize those people get a lot of money. You get? So for him, where, let me say, I would like to just use that thing of doctors. It is more, you get? It's more relatable. So how much a doctor earns in a month, it's like he's working. Because you're an implementer, if you want to earn more money, you just have to work more. You have to work harder for extended periods of time. And if you work for a month, it's hard to meet a unifier you get. It's like a unifier is on a bicycle financially. For him, he works for a month and he's getting maybe 40 million. He's on a bicycle, you can't find him, literally. Then there's communication. Now communication is now the next level, is where you find artists. You have seen this scenario where a person just starts singing 1-2 years or is noticed by the public in 2 years and he makes a lot of money. Way more than these people below him can see, you get. But I think I'm going to look, because they are low level, in everywhere, communication, there are low level communicators, high level communicators. Looking at high level communicators, I'm looking now at people who have really made it in the communication industry. You realize somebody like Ronaldo, somebody like Messi. Those people actually in the communication business. Who can I even say? Just look in the artists industry. You know, artists are communicators. So in the artist industry, you take an analogy of DJ Khaled, you take an analogy of just those people. I think we've seen Kanye West. Kanye West is a billionaire right now. Isn't it Rihanna? Rihanna is actually a billionaire. Isn't it? Who else? Give me a name. Jay-Z. Jay-Z is a billionaire. You realize communication, these people are working. They wake up in the morning to work. But these people have managed to make $1 billion. You get $1 billion US, which is hard to make at the unification level. Ronaldo has not yet reached $1 billion. Do you know that? The man is worth 500, he's coming towards. But you get. So meaning, even in communication, you come and find, of course, artists who are struggling, but still a communicator, a high-level communicator, will always earn higher than a what? A low level. Because I'm very sure the CEO of Google has not yet reached $1 billion. Has he? I'm quite sure he has not. You get. So then there is imagination. Imagination is where you find people like Elon Musk. These people who bring an idea to life. Now that is what they call imagination. With imagination, financially, these people are on a plane. What he can do in, let me say, 1 day, what he can earn in a day, to take you, a person on his foot, a person implementing the job as a doctor, it will take you years to get what Elon Musk makes in a day. Okay? Realize. So these are the levels. It will take, let me say, how much Ronaldo earns in a day, in a week. It will take this doctor who is implementing hard whatever. For as long as you're an implementer, it is very hard to find a person in the communication industry. If you're a unifier, if you're an implementer, it's still hard to find a person who's in unification. You get. So it's like these people on bicycles. It's that you can't walk and bypass a person on a bicycle. You can't walk and bypass a person in a car. You can't walk and expect to even meet a person in a plane anywhere. So this is the financial pyramid I wanted to show you today. What I wanted to express here is that whatever goal you have, it should match whatever you're doing right now. It should match. If you feel like you actually want to own a private jet and you're at this implementation level, it will not work. It can't work unless you actually want to get there when you're like really old. What if, let me just show you a test sample. A person in unification, unification normally gives a lot of money. So with unification, it is where you find a person is earning, let me say, his first month at work, a unifier, a hospital, maybe a manager of a hospital. You can earn at least some good 10 million a month, right? 10, 12 million. Let us say this person decides to save like a car, maybe 5 million. Every month he's saving 5 million or 6 million Uganda shillings because of his financial goals, okay? Because his financial goals are taking him to saving 6 million Uganda shillings, meaning $1,600, okay? Now let us go and calculate how much you'll be earning to show you that you have to actually be in a position, you have to chase what you want. So this is $1,600 is what he's going to say. Okay, maybe, yeah, let him just, his initial, the first time he saves 1,600 and he continues that habit, okay? So let us say for 10 years, he at the same interest rate, let us calculate. Yeah, in 10 years, he'll be having $300,000 in his bank account, okay? In 20 years, 20, that's just 10. In 20 years, how much will he be having? He'll be having $1 million already. In 30 years, okay, 30 years, this person is going to be having $3 million. You get? So, it is hard to catch up to such a person. So, let us look at a person in another level of production. Let us look at maybe, let us look at a person in the communication level. Let us look at a person like Ronaldo, okay? Ronaldo, his weekly salary is how much? I think we can just Google that one direct. Ronaldo's weekly salary. I want to show you something quite fast. Cristiano Ronaldo's weekly salary, Portuguese points. So, he tops the Ronaldo at the front, weekly of 500,000 euros. Weekly wage, okay? Realize this person is at the communication level, and when he gets 500,000, you should not be surprised, okay? Should not be surprised at all. So let us calculate. If he's earning that just per week, and he says 1 week will be dedicated to my platform, he comes and says, every 1 week, I'm saving 1 week's, in a month I just save 1 week. Let me say I put here, remember he said 500,000 euros, right? But let us just put it in USD. 500,000 euros, okay? Even here, for him, he only saves a week's salary, 500,000 euros. Length of time, let us make it 10 years. Let us calculate. Yeah, in 10 years, he'll be having 96 million, okay? USD. Let us calculate in 20 years. 20 years. In 20 years, we'll be having 300 million. Okay? That's in 20 years. If you continue this habit for 30 years, okay? In 30 years, we'll be having 900 million. So in 30 years, we'll be approaching a billion. You get? So this just shows you that to use this method, you should know, first of all, your goal. What are you trying to achieve? Am I trying to get a good, maybe you just want to get a good place for your family, for your what, and a good car, a decent car. You can simply stay comfortable where you are. But if you feel like that is not enough, you'll have to step through these levels. Maybe because the problem with communication is actually not hard. Any of these are not hard. There's a reason as to why you realize whites always tell their kids to maybe do what they're passionate about. Let me say, if I'm coding and I do coding because it's my passion, I'll always end up in the unification level. You get? That's among the tricks that Africans have not yet gotten. People in Africa are forced to do certain things, and when you do something and you don't really like it, you'll always end at the implementation level. When you're a doctor, you've hustled through med school, you have done all this, it's hard for these people to trust you because it's not your passion. You're just doing it to, fitting the society. You'll always end up in the implementation level. And financially, that is what will dictate the rest of your life. Okay, you're earning. But this is why it's normally tell their kids, do what you're passionate about. If you do what you're passionate about, 100% of the time, 80%, 99%, you'll always end up in the unification level. So even at this level, you are good financially, you will save enough money. And remember the same thing, if you're passionate about the communication industry, whites tell their kids, if you're passionate about football, play your football. You'll end up in the communication. If you're passionate about singing, these people start from when they're young, and when they're old, let me say, in these years, they will be able to get into the communication industry and actually break through massively. And of course, they'll be in vehicles financially, they'll be in cars. Yeah, and of course, the few who are able to, because you see, imagination sector, yes, it is the most rewarding, but at the same time, it is so risky. Elon Musk has gone through too much. People like Jeff Bezos have gone through too much in the imagination industry. Jeff Bezos had to bring a full company to life. If you feel like you want to earn, maybe you want to drive private jets, you want to do all this stuff, you have to be at the imagination level. So, number one, determine your financial goals, where do you want to be, and frame your life accordingly. If you know you want to one day drive a private jet, find yourself either in unification, high-level unification, or communication, or imagination. It's hard to drive a private jet here. It is impossible. It's not hard, it's impossible. Here it is possible, here it's possible, here it's very possible. In 1 month, this man can just make enough to drive a private jet. So, that is it for today. Yeah, I wanted you guys to just, reflect upon why am I doing this? Why am I getting rich? Because getting rich is not easy. Saving this amount of money. This one, that's why I went through this. Saving this amount of money. Having this discipline that I'm going to do this every month. I'm going to do this at this period of time is hard. Then also, there's also another part Sono said, will I be able to keep up this discipline for a long time? Now, it's according to his financial goal. Maybe they want to go too far. Now, let me show you something else. This system can also reward a person. Let me say, if you keep only $100,000 and you never add anything, $100,000, let me say you never add anything on top of that, and you keep it for maybe 10 years, let us see what it will do. 100,000 is actually 3.5 million. Isn't it? 100,000 is like 350 million. Yes? Let us get the actual thing. 100,000 is 374 million. So let's come back. 100,000, you say, I'm going to only put that for maybe a length of 10 years. Let us see what it is actually going to do for us. It's going to give us 200,000 at the end of 10 years. Okay? It applies even just without you putting a lot. You just let your money work for you. Put it there and forget about it. 20 years, it will still give you 600,000 after 20 years. Also, maybe 30 years. 30 years, it will, let's see how much it will give you. It will give you $1.7 million. So this is for a person who only put $100,000 once. So this means you can simply save up to how much? You can simply just save up to 300 million and put it in the system. And how long would it actually take you to save this amount of money, 300 million? It can just take you, maybe you can say, me every month I'm going to be depositing a monthly contribution of $1,000 because I want to maybe, let's see how it can do in 10 years. We are targeting to get $100,000, so that we leave it there. We want to only work once for like 10 years and leave it there, okay? Yeah. And this is required. This is a 0. This is a 0, yes. Calculate. 100,000, you already have the money. Meaning you can even take it down 6 years. 6 years time 6 years. So you have to be this. What I'm showing is that this effect is so versatile. Okay, 6, maybe 6.5 years, 6.5 should be accurate. 6.5 years. Yeah, there we have it. We have $100,000. So you can start your career and say, I'm going to save. Maybe every month I'm going to save $3.5 million, and I do it for only maybe 6.5 years. After doing that for 6.5 years, you get maybe if I'm like 25, I get my job and I say I'm going to live frugally for these 6.5 years so that I can set the rest of my future in only this time's work, okay? So that I can be able to get $100,000 and put it in the system and never put anything again and start eating my money properly. You can do that and still get the same effects. The question is, why are you doing this? If you answer that question of why are you doing this, it will dictate the industry or the level of finance should be, let me say, going towards. Yeah, and also, remember, this is the safest level. That's why many people lie in this sector in Uganda. People want safety. People want to get a job and just stay there doing just that. But to go to unification, to become a manager, it's also quite, it's quite hard, but you have to choose to do the hard thing in order to get the amount of money you want. Communication, becoming a successful artist. Now we are seeing Kenzo. Kenzo is now getting a lot of money. Just, isn't it yesterday or yesterday plus one, he filled Kololo. You know, everybody said how much they each pay, but you see he's getting a lot of money. He's in communication. So it is hard for a doctor to wake up one time and say he has more money than Kenzo. It is very, very hard. This man makes a lot of money because he's just in the right sector, which is communication. If Kenzo uses this same formula, it is impossible for a doctor to find him. Literally impossible. Okay? So just for you, for as long as you know where you want to be, you sit down, shape your life, say I want to be here. And of course, the higher you go, the riskier it becomes. Kenzo did not just reach where he is just because he sat down and, you know, these people had to fight battles to reach where they are. They reached there and now they're making a lot of money. So if you want to make a lot of money, please be ready to fight the battle. Shape your life according to what you want. That is it for today. Yeah. See ya.